Good evening, everyone. I now call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of Marysville Joint Unified School District on this Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. Roll call, Doug Criddle, present. Seth Steeman, Chong Yang, Oliver Taylor, Frank Crawford, Ricardo Galicia, Stephen Fuhrer. Note that all board members are present this evening. Moving on to 1.2 closed session, public comment. Do we have any public comments tonight? Okay. Do we have any closed session public comments? None at this time. Okay. Then we will now recess to closed session and we'll return approximately at 6:30 p.m. Allegiance, Mr. Seth Steinman, Vice President of the Board.
Please stand. Salute. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcements of action taken in closed session. For expulsions, EH 242578 was unanimously approved. Suspended expulsion contracts. We have EH 242577, EH 242579, EH 242581, and 82, with a unanimous vote for approval. On reinstatements, bear with me. We have EH 22-23-36, EH 22-2362, EH 2324-31, EH 2324-37, EH 2324-39, EH 2324-49, EH 2324-51, EH 2324-55, EH 2324-64, EH 2324-77, EH 2324-94, EH 2425-07, EH 2425-14, EH 2425-21, EH 2425-26, EH 24-25-32, EH 2425-38, EH 2425-42, EH 2425-56, with a unanimous decision of approval. On the suspended expulsion contracts, we have EH 22-23-59, EH 2324-45, EH 2324-54, EH 2324-73, EH 2424-79, EH 2324-90, EH 2324-102, EH 2324-103, EH 2425-15, EH 2425-25, EH 2425-30, EH 2425-31, EH 2425-35, EH 2425-37, EH 2425-39, EH 2425-54, and EH 2425-58, 59, and 60, all with a 7-vote unanimous approval. Comments from board members. Mr. Stephen Fear. Okay. Chong Yang. Okay. Mr. Oliver Taylor. Seth Steinman. Okay. Mr. Galicia. Mr. Frank Crawford. Okay. Recognitions tonight. Norlina in Sing Sing May, our student board member for 2024-25, was not able to make it tonight, but we are going to be honoring her.
We do have a certificate of recognition. I don't know if everybody can see it. We'll make sure and get it to Norleia. So very appreciative of her efforts for being the student board member and representative. And we learned at Lyndhurst graduation Thursday that she'll be attending UC San Diego in the fall. So congratulations to her and best of luck as she embarks upon her college career.
Gentlemen, a round of applause. Opportunity for employee organizations to address the board. Marysville Unified Teachers Association, Angela Stiegel.
So I won't use the teacher voice with this. That would not be good. That'd kind of be like the board president with his gavel, just a little too noisy. I will tell you, this is getting better as far as the gavel, so I appreciate you. Although kind of tongue-in-cheek, but definitely serious as well. So Angela Stiegel, president for Marysville Unified Teachers Association. First off, just to start with, since we are officially now at summer break, we do hope that folks find the time and the energy to rest and recuperate a little bit over the summer. That way we come back in August all rejuvenated, ready for another year. You'll be surprised, these comments are going to be short because I will have a few comments during the LCAP. Don't worry, it's nothing like awful, so just a little preview. But speaking of the LCAP, I don't know if MUTA gave their official thank you yet to Amy Stratton. We're slightly biased as far as Amy Stratton because she started out in our unit. She was ours first. So we just want to make sure that we thank Amy for all of her years and wish her the absolute best in retirement, well deserved. But thank you for everything you've done for MUTA and for the district for a lot of years. So we will miss you. And I think I still have a number for her, so I can still text her and bug her. But also, speaking of thanks, I would also like to take the time right now to thank Ashley Vetty. Ms. Vetty just helped MUTA and the district resolve an issue before it had to become anything, grievance or anything like that, so we got everything all resolved. But it took a sizable chunk out of her evening yesterday and part of her afternoon today, so thank you for that, much appreciated. Also, a thank you to Jordan Reeves as well. MUTA met with Jordan earlier today about an issue. And in regards to that, I will end my comments this evening by letting the board know that MUTA, we are doing our level best to remain hopeful that the ongoing issues out at Cedar Lane can be resolved very, very soon, before we lose even more teachers, staff members, parents at Cedar Lane to other sites and to other school districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stiegel. Operating Engineers, Local Unit Number 3. California School Employees Association 326 and 648. Association of Management and Confidential Employees. Supervisory Unit. Okay. We'll move on to number 9, public comment. Persons wishing to address the board under public comments or a specific agenda item prior to the board taking action must complete a public comments card and place it in the basket. Looks something like this right here. Speakers will be invited to the podium in order of the public comment cards in which they were received. The public may address topics not on the agenda during the section of the agenda, or ask that they be heard during a specific agenda item. Comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker, or 20 minutes total time for public input on each item per Board Bylaw 9323. The Ralph M. Brown Act prevents Board of Trustees from responding to these comments, with the exception of clarifying questions. The California Government Code Section 54954.2 states, no action or discussion shall be undertaken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda except that members of a legislative body or its staff may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed by its staff may briefly respond to testimony rights under Section 54954.3. We will now hear public comments from Sandra Kitchens. Thank you, Sandra.
Hello, my name is Sandra Kitchens, and I've been a dedicated teacher at Cedar Lane Elementary since October of 1996. I truly love my students and their families. Over the years, I've had the privilege of teaching multiple generations within the same family, including siblings, children, nieces, and nephews of former students. Just last week, I had the pleasure of seeing former students back on campus as I visited in their caps and gowns. Many of them called out my name and greeted me with hugs. Some were once in my classroom while others simply remembered me. It was a touching reminder of the impact long-standing educators can have on students. As the only third grade teacher remaining from their time at Cedar Lane, I am honored to be a familiar and lasting part of their educational journey. Had this happened 4 years ago, students would have been able to see all of their former third grade teachers. The turnover we've experienced since then has been significant. We began the 21-22 school year with 25 teachers. By the following year, in 22-23, 6 of those teachers had left. Of the 5 who were hired to replace them, none returned for the 23-24 school year. Additionally, we lost 7 more of the original teachers that year. At the start of the 24-25 school year, only 11 of the original 25 teachers remained. Of the 16 teachers who were new in 23-24, only 10 of them returned, and we had to bring in 7 new teachers. Those who have left did so for a variety of reasons. Some transferred within the district when permitted, while others left the district entirely to teach elsewhere, and some left the profession altogether due to the negative experience they had here. Several even chose to retire earlier than usual. Over those same 4 years, we've also seen the departure of multiple classified staff members. This ongoing turnover has deeply affected the stability and morale of our school community. Staff morale is at an all-time low. As educators, we take pride in our work and are deeply committed to our students' success. Over the last 4 years, we've seen meaningful progress thanks to the programs and training provided through the grant we received. This would have occurred regardless of what administrator we had. However, many staff members are stepping away from committees or declining to join them altogether due to concerns about the principal's leadership. Participation in extracurricular activities has dropped significantly, especially for anything not required by contract. This situation is not only impacting staff, but also our students. They see and notice that there are disparities and consequences, and notice when staff leaves. Some students have even begun to question the purpose of writing our referrals, noting that there seems to be no consequences. And lastly, imagine your child experiencing a medical emergency in the classroom only for the teacher to be told they must wait for either the school nurse or the principal to assess the situation before calling 911. This is what we've been told after an incident in September of 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kitchens. Number 10, Acting Superintendent Jordan Reed, Superintendent Updates.
Amy, happy retirement. Thank you for your 30-plus years service to the district, so you'll certainly be missed. Just a couple things. I would like to thank teachers, employees, everybody in this district. I had the pleasure of attending all 5 high school graduations last week, obviously not last night, the week before adult ed. We had North South Lyndhurst, Abraham Lincoln, Charter School Lyndhurst and Marysville, and just all the staff who put everything together for the event, teachers from kindergarten on up, counselors. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a pretty amazing week, and there's just the smiles you see on those kids' faces, truly amazing. So great opportunity at all the high school graduations this past week. And again, just thank everybody in the district because everybody contributes in some way, even though they may not realize they do.
Great, thank you. Moving on to number 11, presentations. 11.1, presentation of the progress of our English learners for the 2024-25 school year. Mr. Hector Gonzalez.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Hector Gonzalez. I'm in charge of our second language learners, and this evening I'm going to present to you the progress that we've been making with our second language learners. Here's a picture of our multi-language learners that we have stemming from TK up to 8th grade. And the question here really is, who are our second language learners? And that is the one thing that I've been working with our teachers, is we really need to focus on who these kids are, what are they bringing to the table, what assets they're bringing to the table, but by the same token, understanding just the struggles that they're facing. So that's something that I've been working with our schools and our administrators. As far as our numbers of ELs that we had this year we started with 1,784 ELs. And as you can see, the schools that have the majority of our ELs are, starting number 1 is Lyndhurst High School with 277. Yuba Gardens has 200, and Ella has 196 students. And then across the board, you can see throughout the district where those ELs are. For this evening, I'm really going to be focusing a lot on our reclassification and kind of let you know what it is that we're doing. Our goal is to reclassify students within the first 5 years of receiving them here at this school district. So as you can see, in the last 3 years, all qualified ELs have been reclassified here at this district. And this year, meaning the test that the students took last year, 211 students were able to be reclassified here this year. As you can see, Yuba Gardens, Edgewater have reclassified, Lyndhurst High School, Yuba Gardens, and Edgewater have reclassified the most students. And so that's something really to look at. Now, obviously, Yuba Gardens and Lyndhurst High School have the most ELs, but it was surprising to see how much Edgewater jumped up there with 22 ELs. So again, our focus is trying to get those students reclassified within the first 5 years. Here's our ceremony that we had at our Boga Elementary School, and this is our high school, and this was a graduation and reclassification ceremony. We also had one at McKinney as well to serve the schools to the north of the river. As I pointed out, in the last 3 years, we have reclassified all our students, and here's a trend stemming from 4 years back. As far as the number of students that we have reclassified over the years. This year, as you can see, we've had the lowest number, but that also has to do with specific reclassification requirements regarding our second language learners that also have an IEP. So if they have an individual learning plan, we now have to make sure that they meet all criteria. If they're taking the regular summative test, they have to score a 4, and they have to do well on another assessment. If they are taking the alternative test, then they have to score a 3. But overall, our students count did go down a little bit, and I would expect that to go down a little bit next year as well, as we cannot just reclassify students just simply because they have an IEP. So we have been following those regulations. I did work with our SPED team and all our counselors to make sure they understood that. As you can see, the percentage of numbers, or the percentage of students that have been reclassified, you might see Dobbins at 50%, but please understand there were only 2 students. One got reclassified and one is still in EL. So that's why that number's up there. But as you can tell, and it's no surprise, Lyndhurst High School has definitely been reclassifying the most students. But the other thing I wanted to point out, that before COVID, the state average anywhere from 13 to 14%. That was a rate as far as reclassification. After COVID, it's been really hard to get that rate established. It's gone down as low as 7%, but look at where we're at. If we use that line of 13% to 14%, you can see all the schools that have met that criteria or exceeded that, some that are just right there. And then you can see the other schools where we reclassified just a little bit below that. But again, as a district, we were able to reclassify 11.8% of our students. Again, we're below that pre-COVID number. Our hope is that we meet that minimally or exceed that next year in the coming years. So we're getting closer, and I think we're doing a good job, but that's also due to the work that teachers are doing and just the attention that we're now paying to our second language learners. As far as our data, unfortunately, I don't have good news here. Our second language learners, when it comes to ELA and math, we're still in the red. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. As far as our English learner progress indicator, we're in the orange. We were at 48.1% last year. We've declined 3.5%. And again, like I said, our goal is to reclassify them within the first 5 years. And if you can see the diagram where it shows the 1, 2, 3 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4 levels, that's really the idea that when they first come to us, they're in level 1, and we move them by the next year to level 2, level 3 the following year, and so on and so forth until we're able to reclassify them. But if you can see the LP levels underneath, that means that we also have kids who might be at a low 2 and scored at a high 2. That's still a progress. They still made a gain. And that's something that we want to continue to do. Obviously, the best thing is when they jump levels from a level 1 to a level 2 and so on and so forth. But we still want to see within the levels that they're growing and not just staying stagnant. So we want to make sure there is movement. Here is a picture of our second language, our secondary ELD teachers at a PD session, and this is our area of growth. We've had 100% of our students, our teachers, come and attend that training. And here's some things that we still need to continue to do. As far as chronic absenteeism, we're at 15.1%. That's down from 19.4%. Obviously, we want our students to be at school, so we need to do better there. Our EL students, when it comes to suspension rate, we're at a 5%. This is up from 4.7, so we did go up a little bit more. As far as suspension rate for our LTELs, we're at 10.2%. This is up from 9.2, so that's not good news. And in regards to our graduation, this is something that's better news. Our EL students have a 90.7% rate, and we're hoping to improve that as well. As far as our ELA and math, as I just showed you, we're at a decline, and we need to do better when it comes to that. The number of LTELs, we're at 721 this year. The year prior, we were at 904. So we're doing a little bit better there, and we're hoping to continue to do better in regards to that. And then the other thing is also to increase identification. We increase our identification of ELs into special ed from grades TK through 6th grade. So again, we need to do better there and see if we truly are identifying them correctly. So areas to celebrate. Again, these are other teachers that are secondary teachers that participated in that training. 100% of our secondary ELD teachers trained on ELD language objectives. Our teacher monitoring of ELs and RFEP students continues to hold strong, so our teachers are doing that. Our PK participation of EL parents continues to take place. We ran 2 5-day sessions, one in the fall for newcomers and one in the spring for all our EL parents. As far as our principal classroom walkthroughs that I'd like to do at schools, I was able to attend 2 of our high schools, 2 middle schools, and 7 of our elementary schools. Next year, my goal is really to increase that number for me to work with all our administrators, especially our elementary schools as well. We held a reclassification ceremony at McKinney and Arboga to celebrate our students who were redesignated, and so that's a great thing to do for our kids, and kids really appreciate being noticed in that way. So what's the plan for 25-26? One of the plans is doing exactly what you're seeing in this picture, is to continue to do our ELD training for all our teachers. In this case, these are members of our staff that come in and do our Saturday Language Academy. And so we also had some paras there as well getting trained right along with our teachers. We continue for me to continue to do class walkthroughs with our principals, provide PD for our secondary ELD teachers and elementary teachers, continue to contract with PKIT to support our parents of ELs, increase our Saturday Language Academy from 6 Saturdays to 8 Saturdays, and then again within that, increase the number of participants TK through 8th grade. Would like to take 5 parents, a site administrator, and 2 teachers to CABE to learn a little bit more about our second language learners, and to continue to provide PD around ELD integrated, ELD designated as well. And we'll work with our high schools to provide extra support to our newcomers and our LTEL. So those are my goals coming for this upcoming year. Any questions? Yeah.
I have a question which is adjacent to your presentation. Lyndhurst, on your slide where it notes the number of EL students, it's the second slide. Lyndhurst has 277 EL students. So do we know of those 277 students and those who got reclassified, because that number is obviously larger than 277, how many of them are strong enough in their native language so that they can actually pass the seal by literacy?
So that's a great question. So we really are focusing our level 3s. Those are the ones that are just at the cusp right there. And so we're focusing on those students, but also remember that some of these students, for example, many of the comments that I hear from teachers is, I don't understand why they're not passing that test. I can speak to them, they can answer my questions just fine, they speak English like anybody else, and we can have a great conversation. What's missing from those students is their academic language. And that's the focus that we really need to focus on. They can have a conversation with you, no problem, with a teacher, and they can understand what you're saying to them. But when they're reading, say, for example, their history or their science curriculum, which is very formal English, all of a sudden it's out of their grasp. And that's the one thing. The other issue is, for example, when it comes to writing, they write the way they speak, and we really need them to think academically so they can write exactly as they're being asked to do so. And yet what they're doing is they're writing more from just how they speak. And so we really need to improve that. So they might speak English well, but when it comes to the academics, that's where we need to support them and guide them.
Okay, so because that was one of the things I've been thinking about in terms of improving our college and career readiness.
Yeah.
Which is that this pool of students actually have a very strong native language ability, right?
Yes.
Obviously, that's why they're ELs. And
Yeah.
so if they could improve them, if we support them well enough to pass the seal by literacy, they're actually the group of students who are most likely to pass it. Assuming that they can pass.
I agree. And one of the things that I will be doing is working with our schools to set goals. If we set goals with students and have them take ownership in what they're doing, we can easily, it's kind of like teachers on their first day of school. If we give the students and we tell them, here are norms we're going to follow the rest of the year, many of the kids aren't going to own that. But if teachers say, all right, class, let's come up with our norms. What is it that we're going to follow in this classroom? Same thing with our second language learners. Okay, here's how you've done it in the past. And let me explain to you what that really means. So one, explain to them what that test means, the significance of it. And then second, what are you going to do about it? I see that your reading scores are the lowest. What are your goals regarding reading? I see writing isn't too hot either. What are you going to do in regards to that? And how, in holding those conferences with them, even if it's once a month for just a couple of seconds, how are you doing, Hector? How are you doing in regards to the goals you set? Well, I haven't really been working on. Remember, that's what we said you were going to do. You hold your end, I'm going to hold my end. Just simply having those conversations, I feel strongly that our students are going to take that test more seriously. And if teachers have those goals and the kids are coming to them, the teachers themselves will hold themselves accountable, which I know they will. And I think we're going to see progress, especially those kids who have 3s, and we have a large number of students who scored 3s. That data is not ready for us to share publicly, but we do have a large number of students that scored 3s that we need to focus on. Obviously, those that scored 4s, we're going to reclassify them again next year. And just like we've done in the past, we're going to reclassify 100% of them. That will be my goal, our goal as far as teachers as well. But it's really setting goals and really helping our teachers understand that these students bring a lot to the table. Let's see how we can work together to have them be reclassified. Any other questions?
No other?
You said wait?
Yeah.
Sorry, okay.
Yeah.
Hi. I know this guy a little bit. I just wanted to point out, I teach kindergarten, and all of our students are English language learners, especially in kindergarten. But I would be interested, my question is whether or not this test has ever been given to the school as a whole, so that English only students take it, where we could compare how they do, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of our English learners are doing better on this test than a lot of our English only kids would do. When you said that they write the way they speak, ditto with the English only kids. Writing is a really difficult thing right now to teach because everybody's all, tapping away on their phones. nothing about language structure. It's a difficult time to teach it to everybody. Anyway, so have they done that? Had the English only test?
Oh, go ahead.
I could actually help support that question. When the LPAC was developed and it was field tested with both English students and our second language learners. And the criteria was for the numbers and how the statistics were made and the cut points and the scores were developed based off of the comparison between the English native speakers at grade level versus our EL students. And so it was developed together.
So the English language, the English only kids were at grade level.
They were at different levels, like all the kids are at different levels. But the test, when the test was piloted, it was piloted with EO students at all the various grade levels, all the different ability levels. And that was how they decided what was proficient and non-proficient.
Yeah, as the last comment, I think if we gave this test to our second language, or excuse me, to our English only students, I think many would find that test very difficult. It's very exhausting. It really requires them to think critically.
Something definitely to consider. Good point.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Hector, thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate the
Thank you,
information.
everybody. Thank you.
Moving on to 11.2, California Community Schools Partnership Program. That's a CCSPP grant update. Program Supervisor Stephanie McKenzie and Mr. James Lohman to present.
Good evening. Thank you very much. I'm James Lohman. I've been the Director of Community Partnerships here for the last few years. The district administration has recently decided who I'm going to pass the torch to, and I am excited that that is going to happen with someone who has a tie to ELOP, and so this work is going to be in educational services with Lori Guy, which I'm sure you all know, and then being tasked to plan and implement these 12 grants. The first duty I had was to get a grant manager, and I have yet to go to a meeting with community partners, with outside agencies, with people in schools, and have to introduce this person, but our grant data manager is Stephanie McKenzie. My pleasure to introduce you.
Good evening. We're happy to be here tonight to give you our presentation for our progress that we've made in this past year. Also part of our team is we have 8 community school coordinators who work on the school sites. At 8 of the sites at this time, we're in the process of hiring 4 more for the remaining 4 schools in our group of 12 that are covered by the grant. Each one of those coordinators has prepared a one-page summary of their activities and progress for the year. There's a little bit of data included in there as well, but it's an easily digestible little summary for you to see what's happening across the district and community schools. And so I just would also like to acknowledge the work that Mr. Lohman has done over the last year and a half in community schools, and I've just been very privileged to work with him. He was a perfect person to get us launched, and I appreciate all that he's done for me and my team, so thank you, James, for that. And so we have our video.
There we go. Go for it. In this video, we're highlighting the California Community Schools Partnership Program, also known as CCSPP, which is just finishing its 2nd year of implementation in 10 Marysville Joint Unified Schools and its 1st year in 2 schools. The community schools strategy transforms a school into a place where educators, local community members, families, and students work together to strengthen conditions for student learning and healthy development. As partners, they organize in and out of school resources, supports, and opportunities so that young people thrive. As you can see on the Essentials for Transformation wheel, at the center of our work is our goal that all students flourish in thriving school communities. Marysville Joint Unified Schools receiving CCSPP funding are listed here with their corresponding award amounts. These funds are distributed to the sites over a 5-year period. Funding levels are determined based on school size. The Cohort 2 grant period is 2023 through 2028, and the Cohort 3 grant period is 2024 through 2029. That's over $15 million invested across 12 schools to strengthen community partnerships and student supports. Our CCSPP grant staff includes
Director of Community Partnerships, James Lohman,
Grant Data and Community Services Manager, Stephanie McKenzie,
Community Schools Site Coordinators,
Jasmine Topete from Ella,
Christian Lamas, Johnson Park,
Antonia Barton, Kynok,
Marla Melendez, Linda,
Luis Martinez, LHS and North and South LHS,
Lakeisha Lott, McKinney,
Ramona Leal from Olivehurst.
Tammy Bragg, Yuba Gardens.
The community schools concept is not a standard program, but rather a way of functioning as a school community that is supported by 4 main strategies that are referred to as the 4 pillars. They are integrated student supports, family and community engagement, collaborative leadership and practices for educators and administrators, extended learning time and opportunities.
Having solid practices in these 4 areas provides a well-balanced and supportive structure for students to learn and thrive. This year, our team has worked to strengthen our practices in these 4 areas. We have made significant progress, especially in integrated student supports and family and community engagement. We have also been working closely with our already amazing ELOP program, our 4th pillar, to create more after-school opportunities for students.
Coordinators participate in several professional development programs. They attend weekly PLC meetings with the Grant Data Manager, Supervisor Stephanie McKenzie, and monthly virtual and in-person professional development classes hosted by our Regional Transformational Assistance Center team located in Sacramento.
The MJUSD Community Schools work is also supported by the Yuba County Office of Education's Community Schools Director, Nina Martinez, and Coordinator, Jonathan Robinson. Here are some of our coordinators to tell you about their work.
This year at Johnson Park, we've grown stronger as a community school, launching a mentorship program for our English learners, hosting over a dozen new events, revamping our PBIS system, and planting the seeds for a new school garden. We've also introduced parent education nights and created a school site council to ensure every...
At Kynok this year, we're proud to have made some meaningful connections with new partners like the Kiwanis, the Elks, and First Five of California, who share our vision for student success and community engagement. Through the launch of new programs like our Spirit Team, we've been able to foster relationships and create more opportunities for student involvement. You may have seen us at events like the Buckeye Parade or participating at one of our Kynok Community Fridays. We are excited about...
At South Flinders High School, our partnership with Junior Achievement has been a game changer this year. We've welcomed diverse guest speakers into our classrooms, from entrepreneurs to finance pros, giving students first-hand insight into real-world careers and life skills.
This year at McKinney, we strengthened our family school partnerships through our Family Forum, which is a quarterly event where parents engage directly with the administrators on current initiatives. A range of supplemental programs were incorporated to support student academic success. Last but not least, we are extremely excited to launch our new elective next year, offering hands-on career-focused learning to prepare students for high school CTE pathways.
This year at Ella Elementary, we successfully established a school garden. We also planned and organized 6 additional family engagement events and received over $12,000 in donations thanks to our community members and partners.
At Linda Elementary, we have developed many vital partnerships to help our school community grow and thrive. We are excited to continue these relationships that promote healthy and stable living practices, provide clothes, shoes, and food, and reward with unforgettable experiences in the community.
Yuba Gardens is growing stronger every day through community support. We've launched clubs and tutoring with 92 students participating. Our Wellness Center has served 250 students and a food program serving 100 families with help from our leadership and AFID students. More exciting things are coming next year.
This year, Olivehurst has established meaningful partnerships with local community organizations to better support our students and families. Among these valued partners is the Yuba Sutter Food Bank. Together, we are strengthening our community school and fostering a supportive, inclusive environment where we can all thrive.
This year at LHS, we proudly partnered with the Yuba Sutter Food Bank to host monthly food distributions for our community. Students also volunteered through the Johnson Park Mentor Program, helping English learners with homework, classwork, and school routines.
The work of CCSPP relies heavily on community involvement. The CCSPP staff and MJUSD would like to thank all of our community partners for making this work possible. 2028 and 29 does not mean the end of MJUSD community schools. This funding is meant to be seed money to help us establish and structure practices that will support our community schools' work beyond the life of the grant.
In the coming years, we'll be working with district staff, teachers, students, parents, and community partners to identify needs and resources and develop a shared vision and priorities that will carry us forward together.
We're off to a great start and excited about the future of community schools for MJUSD.
We'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Board members have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Great presentation. Thank you very much. Moving on to number 12, Superintendent. 12.1, approval of the May 27, 2025 regular board meeting minutes. Are there any noted corrections? If not, do I have a motion to approve? Motion approved. By Mr. Frank Crawford. And do I have a second? Second by Mr. Galicia. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 12.2, approval of consent agenda items. We will now approve the consent agenda items 13.1 through 17.6. Is there any item that the board would like to pull for further clarification?
I'd like to request to pull 15.3, which is the Wildcat Guarantee, to have that as a separate vote because I have to abstain due to conflict of interest.
Okay. So item 15.3 is pulled for discussion. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 13.1 through 17.6 with the exception of item 15.3 by Mr. Frank Crawford. And a second? Second by Mr. Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All motion carries. So we have motion agenda for consent agenda item 15.3. And that would be for clarification of this, excuse me, to ratify the memorandum of understanding with California State University, Chico. Mr. Yang.
I just need to abstain from the vote because I have a conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest? Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or clarifications on item 15.3? No? Well, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda item 15.3 that was pulled for discussion? Motion? Frank Crawford, motion to approve, and a second? Seth Stevens, second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Number 18, new business, Superintendent, 18.1.
So we have the second read, requesting or recommending rather the board to approve and adopt board policies, admin regulations, exhibits for section 000, which is philosophy, goals, objectives, 2000s administrative, and 9000 bylaws.
Any board members have any questions for Mr. Reeves on the second read, improve and adopt board policies? If not, do I have a motion to approve the second read, approval and adopt board policies, administration regulations, and exhibits for sections 0000, philosophy, goals, objectives, -2000, and administration, and 9000 bylaws? I need a motion. Motion from Mr. Fuhrer, and a second. Second from Mr. Steeman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Skip 19, no new business. Number 20, new business, educational services. Specifically 20.1. Amy Stratton.
Hi, this is Lori. I'm Lori Guy, Director of Data and Student Improvement. And at this time, we want to close the public review and adopt Amira as the reading difficulties risk screener for 25-26 school year for our K-2 students.
On closing the public review and adopting Amira difficulties risk screener for 2025-26 school year, do I have a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Frank Crawford. And do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Fuhrer. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? Motion carries. 20.2, public hearing. The Governing Board of Marysville Joint Unified School District, MJUSD, will hold a public hearing on the Marysville Joint Unified School District's Local Control and Accountability Plan, otherwise known as the LCAP and LCFF Budget Overview. Ms. Amy Stratton to present to the board.
First thing, we'll need to ask the board to go ahead and open a public hearing.
Do I have a motion to open public hearing from the board? Motion from Mr. Yang and a second. Mr. Galicia. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start the presentation on the LCAP. The LCAP, first thing is we're going to talk about is our demographics. The demographics for the 24-25 school year were about 49% Hispanic, 29% white, 3% African American, 8% Asian, 1% Native American, 6% multi-race, and about 1% is not reported. You can see at the bottom of the chart where we have a large percentage of socioeconomic disabilities, about 20-ish%, just under 20% English learners, some foster youth, some homeless students, maybe about a little less than 5%, or maybe about 10%, 7-8% maybe. And students with disabilities is probably about the 18%. I'm just looking at the numbers on the graph. The LCAP is our local control and accountability plan. It's the tool that for local educational agencies to set goals, plan actions, and leverage our resources to meet the goals. We are responsible to meet the state's goals or their system connected to the resources where we do our connections to conditions of learning, engagement, and student outcomes. So all of our goals are somehow connected to this wheel that you see. We have 6 overarching goals. Our first one is academic. Our goal 2 is an environment that addresses the physical and emotional safety of students and staff. 3 is college and career. 4 is supports for English learners. 5 is improving meaningful home-to-school communication. And 6 is our special education goal. You can see what state priorities they meet over on the right side. We do have Equity Multiplier. This is a new funding source that was introduced last school year. We have 4 schools that qualify for Equity Multiplier. They have Goal 7, which is to improve the overall support and services for students. We do have some successes this year. We had all of our schools that were in CSI, which was Marysville, Linda, Cedar Lane. They've all been exited out of CSI this year. We had 4 schools exited out of ATSI. That would be McKinney, Arboga, Foothill, and Loma Rica. It means that they're meeting their requirements through our state accountability system. We've had 100% implementation of the UPK3 literacy plan in terms of professional development for our K2 teachers in ECRI and our structured literacy reading series for our K5 teachers. I'm just going to let you read through those a little bit, but the recognitions that we're most accomplished, that we're most excited about is the removal of our CSI and ATSI sites. That's something to acknowledge and celebrate. We also got the Golden Bell Award for our ELOP program. And we also had our local staff was selected to present at the All Titles Conference for the literacy plan. So those are all great accomplishments this year. Looking at the budget overview for parents. So we're looking specifically at the LCFF funding, specifically for our CNI, our concentration and supplemental funds. And they're specifically, our intentional needs are for our high needs students, which are socioeconomically disadvantaged, English learners, and foster youth. Here's just a quick description on how we get our money for LCFF. We're really looking at the last two rows, our supplemental and concentration grants. So before we start, we're going to look at what we did last year. Our last LCAP, we had just over 29 million, almost 29.5 million budgeted, and we spent about 28 million for. So for 25-26, the picture on the left shows our entire budget, how much money we have coming into the district. The circle on the right shows our LCFF funds. And we're going to talk tonight specifically about that light purple pie coming out of the middle on the left. Or on the right, sorry. My rights and lefts. We are responsible to support our students, our high needs students, and our obligation for them is a budget item of 28 million, just over 28 million. And for our concentration grants, we have to do another 2 million, 2.8 million, which is about 25% of our LCFF funding. We're also responsible to add our carryover, the money we didn't spend last year, which is 0.22%. So what that equates to is 26%, a little over 26%, or 229 million and some change for this coming year. So this picture just shows what is, again, the total budget, which is over 200 million, and what is actually in the LCAP, which comprises of more than just LCFF. It also will hold our Learning Recovery Grant and some title monies. So altogether, our whole LCAP is $36.6 million. So let's look at what we're doing with that $36.6 million. Goal 1, we have 11.3 million budgeted with 11.1 million going towards contributing for unduplicated students. Over on the right, you'll see some of the actions we are doing with that money for Goal 1. But what is noticeable, the significant changes, is we did eliminate the instructional coaches, our ASL teacher and middle college staff out of the LCAP. Our Lexia purchase, which is our reading, our supplemental materials for reading, that was a 3-year contract. We paid for all 3 years up front. So we have a zero expenditure for the next 2 years. Goal 2, which is our safety goal. Again, about 13 million budgeted with 12.3 going towards contributing for unduplicated students. Again, you can see some of the actions we are doing with that. The significant changes is that we did increase the athletic budgets for middle and high school, and we eliminated the staffing for the wellness centers or the wellness paras. Goal 3 is our college and career. We have my commas are in the wrong spot. 4.7 million, and 4.7 million is contributing. 4.4 million is contributing, sorry. And again, you can see some of the actions we are doing. The significant changes is that we added some 1.1 million for the graduate profile implementation, which was formerly the CTE honors and AP sections. We just redefined that category. We did eliminate the high school registrar's positions, and we added our Tri-County ROP expansion for CTE programs. Goal 4 is supports for English students or EL students. You can see over on the right what we are doing. 1.8 budgeted with 1.5 contributing. Significant changes is that we added our ELD sections that we included in the master schedule, and we also, our cost of our EL facilitators cost more than we initially budgeted, so we adjusted that as well. Goal 5 is our communication, home to school communication, with 2.3 million budgeted with 559,000 for contributing. Significant changes is our ORCs. We did move those into the Learning Recovery Grant. Goal 6 is our services to our special ed students, 2.9 budgeted with 300,000 contributing. The significant changes is we are adding a coordinator. That cost is not the entire cost of the coordinator. We're taking just a portion of their salaries of the coordinators, of all our different coordinators that we have. And the equity multiplier is not contributing, it's a different funding source. And here's the changes to the equity multiplier. The schools are reducing some of their staffing and increasing their supplemental curriculum and professional development. And Yuba Feather is our new school that was added this year. We also are required to have our Learn Recovery Block Grant inside and embedded in the LCAP. We have $13.5 million to spend between 2022 to 2028. This year we have $3.1 million budgeted, and over on the right you can see where that money is budgeted. These categories are the categories we had to attend to, so those categories are developed for us. This is how much money we are putting into those categories. For CSI, we have to report our schools that are in CSI, which is our highest level of accountability, and all of our schools have been removed from CSI, and we currently do not have any of our schools in CSI. So to recap, we have 6 priorities. We have 4 sites that receive equity multipliers. Annually, we have to meet a certain percentage for increase and improved services. Our target this year is 26.037%. Which includes our carryover from last year. We have the total LCFF funds, that's $109.5 million. Our total LCAP expenditures is $36.6 million. Our LCFF unduplicated expenditures is $32.5 million in whole. We have other state funds associated, which is our Learn Recovery Grant at $3.9 million. And our federal funds that are associated with this is $225,000, which means altogether we did meet our obligation of 26% for the LCAP. And this is just a little picture of what we've done in the last 3 years on LCAP in terms of the funding, our unduplicated count, our carryover, what we've budgeted, and how we expended. And thanks to all of our different advisory committees. I do appreciate all the support we've had in building this. And are there any questions?
Any questions for the board? Amy, a lot of hard work put into that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
20.3.
There's probably a public comment.
Yep.
I tried to say earlier I was going to talk on this. So just a few things. Angela Stiegel, president for MUTA, and a couple of things I have already spoken to Amy about, but just to bring a couple of things to the attention of the board as well and to the district in general. And one of the things that I had not thought of mentioning to Amy earlier is the union has noticed if you're actually looking at the LCAP at a glance, which I believe the board has, because if I have it, you have it, which actually lists all the descriptions and the dollar amounts. So if you guys have this nifty little document, well, this is going to make things interesting. So when you're looking at that under goal 2 for 2.6, 2.7, and 2.8, it's elementary, middle school, and high school VAPA teachers. And so a lot of that has to do with like Prop 28 and a lot of that going on. But one of the things that's happened recently, just to kind of I guess it's food for thought and something that MUTA and the district will probably need to talk about ASAP, is that recently we've seen a whole lot of postings for VAPA paras. And so I just want to remind the district that I know that right now it's hard to find VAPA teachers because everybody needs and wants them because of Prop 28, but we can't use paras in place of our certificated folks. That would be giving our union work, our unit member work to another unit or union, and so that's a big no-no. But also keep in mind that within Prop 28, it does actually say that it's a certificated person to count for that 80%. So you can't have your VAPA paras count towards that. That would actually get you heavily fined, I believe. So like I said, we'll look into that little tidbit. But also within, so in looking at goal 3, I just wanted to, again, something to bring to the district's attention, and it's no surprise, just so you know, I'm not like shocking or surprising Amy at this point. She knows, and there are people on the board who know that the teachers union would just like to reiterate the fact that under 3.2, where we're talking about credit recovery licenses, we have to find something better than Edmentum for our students. We have to do something, we have to find something, we have to do better for our students and for our professional educators in this district. We know that Edmentum is a credit mill. It is not a shock or surprise. We've known that. We've known it for a while now. And I know that right this second, the district is in a little bit of a crunch, like summer school starts tomorrow kind of thing. But before we get to the next school year, like we have to figure something out. I do want to give props to David Jones. He has come up with an idea possibly of something else, and he's piloting that within his program, which for this coming school year, which I think is going to be amazing. But I think we all need to make sure that we're kind of keeping our eyes and ears open for something else besides that. But also a big plus. So the graduate profile implementation, which is 3.3, a handful of years back, the district and the board actually approved removing attract and retain high quality teachers out of the LCAP, which the union fought long and hard for you guys not to do. And it happened anyway. And I don't mean like you personally. Most of you weren't even up there when that decision was made. But the board did make that decision. So I do want to thank Amy in having our input sessions with the teachers union, being able to find a way to make sure that we did get that back in there, but also a way to make our graduate profile actually really mean something besides just being linked on the homepage for the district website. And so within that, I just want to remind the district that your graduate profile is supposed to be a living, breathing document. So again, as we're gearing up for another school year, it would be really helpful if we make sure that we acknowledge the fact that we should be budgeting some time and possibly a few bucks to make sure that we go through and look at that. And if there are revisions that need to be made, they get made so that that document does not become stale and useless, especially since it's going to mean so much in our LCAP. And also, it's kind of a big bonus because, hey, the State Board of Education is looking at encouraging and recommending that school districts have a graduate profile. So we'll be ahead of a recommendation. We all know that when the State Board of Education recommends something, that basically does make it a mandate. I mean, we just all kind of take it that way. And then there were a couple of other quick things that, again, I will take care of with Amy, but I think we're making a little headway, at least with this one. At least there aren't as many big issues and such. We got things pretty well taken care of in our input session. So again, a big thanks to Amy. Also a thanks to, I know Jen had to work within that, and I think Cindy Helms also worked within that to get some of the dollars and cents and stuff worked out for us. So much appreciated. And like I said, some of those things we'd be happy to work with the district on, and the people that are coming into new offices and such positions over the summer, happy to help out. Thanks.
Thank you, Angela. 20.3.
Yeah, now it's time for us to close the public hearing, and then we will adopt the budget at the next board meeting, or the LCAP at the next board meeting.
Board, do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Mr. Crawford making a motion to close, and do I have a second? Mr. Seth Stuman. Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? Abstain? Okay, the motion carries 7-0. 20.4, public hearing. The Governing Board of Marysville Joint Unified School District, MJUSD, will hold a public hearing on the Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts, MCAA, Local Control and Accountability Plan, LCAP, and LCFF Budget Overview. Mr. Eric Preston, Principal of MCAA, to present. Mr. Preston, you have the floor.
All right, and I am presenting a much simpler version. If you would like to see the 75-page document for the LCAP, I can forward that to you via email right now, but I love the work that Amy does. No knock on Amy, I am not Amy. I make that very clear. This is not my strength. So without any further ado, here is our LCAP for 25-26. Our budget overview, you can see that we have $4,798,520. 406,202 is our supplemental and concentration grant, and then our target is 8.465. We had 0 carryover. Last year, our 24-25 budgeted versus actual, we budgeted $595,000. At the time that this was finished, which was mid-May, to get it with the guidelines here, we had spent $541,470 with $53,000 unspent. Some of that 53 has been spent between then and now and will continue to be spent through summer school. So a bulk of that, it'll probably be closer to about 20,000 unspent. I'm not going to read through all the successes. You guys have these. We have 4 pages, I think. Really, the biggest thing, I'm going to pick one from each page. We had students this year in art competitions who had their work presented in Auckland, New Zealand, and in Vienna, Austria. Vienna, Austria, excuse me, which is amazing. Our kids are continuing to shine. We introduced last year, the 23-24 year, an after-school ballet folklorico program, which this year continued and got bigger. We have performed, or they have performed at multiple sites. We had a photo and art gallery show that has been going on for years and years that's typically at the Lee Burroughs Center that has outgrown that. We went to the Sutter Theater and it's almost too big for there, but people got to move around, which was amazing. I think one of the biggest, I'm going to talk about 2 in here. We have a student who 2 years ago won a $40,000 scholarship through CISA, which is the California State Summer School for the Arts program. This year she won a $50,000 scholarship, same kid, for her writing. And she represented our school and our district at the Young Arts, at the Young Arts Conference in Florida. Along with her and the others, I just think it's amazing where kids from this area can and do go. We have our seniors this year are heading off to Cornell, Bennington College, Whitman College, UOP, UC Davis, UC Irvine, UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, UC Santa Cruz, UC San Diego, CSU SAC, CSU Chico, CSU Stanislaus, CSU Monterey Bay, Cal Poly Humboldt, San Jose State, UNR, Colorado School of the Mines. So those are the ones I know for sure that they're all leaving to. And then we have a ton who are continuing at community colleges. Identified needs. Our staff and parents and students still want a consistent performance venue. It's not a lot of fun to have to go to McKinney and break down and bring it back up and have to try to work with Marysville High School, who is very accommodating, but to try to work with FFA with their drama program, with our drama program to have venue or events. Our staff and community still wants continued increased support for visual and performing arts classes and programs. We're an art school, that makes sense. Continued support for math instruction. Continued support for staff and students through technology and curriculum purchases, and continued after-school offerings. Because we are our own LEA for certain intents and purposes, we do not qualify or fit into the ELOP or the STARS after-school program or ACES. And so we started one 2 years ago with 2 classes. This last year we had 9. We've added Intro to Korean, we've added coding, we've added, I can't even remember, sorry, off the top of my, we've added a ton of classes that have come from students wanting them. And so Ballet Folklorico came that way. We, like the district, have specific goals. We don't have as many. We don't have to hit the 6 or 7 that the district has. I believe we only hit 4. I've only got monies on here showing the ones that we actually are contributing through our LCAP. So IXL is a math diagnostic and program that allows students to go back and kind of fill gaps where they are. So our math support class uses this, our special education teacher uses this, and students will be able to utilize this at home. We've also continued to contract with a retired math teacher who comes and pushes in to help students with math. We continue to provide tutoring and study hall after school and paraeducators through the LCAP. This next slide just shows continued items that are in our LCAP but not funded by LCAP. Goal 2, our actions that are funded are continuing our PE/CTE dance instructor, our CTE and career pathways, our study hall supplementary materials, our after-school enrichment offerings, and then you'll see there are still multiple things that are on here that are funded from different pots or sources of money. And goal 3, we are funding a full-time counselor, an outreach consultant, and then on the bottom right, something I'm super proud and happy for is we have hired a social worker that we will share with Olive Hearst Elementary, and that's coming out of our Learning Recovery Grant based on an analysis of what's happening at our school and our student and parent needs and desires. And so this will allow our counselor to be more of an academic counselor and to have somebody who's more specialized in counseling for our students for the other needs. And then there's more continued actions. A recap of funding for 25-26, our total LCFF funds are $4,392,318. 406,202 are LCAP specific. We have 407,276 in other state funding. That would be things like educator effectiveness, Prop 28, et cetera. We have 0 federal funds and 10,000 in local funds. And that is what I've got for you. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board? No, great. Yeah, thank you very much. Good presentation. Okay. It looks like you guys are making a lot of progress in a lot of different areas, and I think we are working on some type of facility that we will be able to use, at least until we can get something permanent. Is that correct?
Not that I'm aware of. I do know there is a positive, and I should have said that. Earlier this year, I was told that we will be inhabiting the IT building so that our students no longer have to cross Highway 70 to go to the TCC for PE classes. So we will be moving, I hope, fingers crossed. The calendar keeps shifting, but hopefully the middle of June, we will be moving the office and to our student support area and our special education class are currently split, one portable split down the middle. So we're going to take them and all of the office into the IT area, make the old office a music classroom, turn the old split classroom into a PE classroom so that we can keep them over here and actually have some room to grow. So there's some good things underfoot that are happening. It doesn't help with performance, but it definitely helps with morale and safety. Yes.
Thank you very much. You're doing a great job. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to open public hearing? Yes, Mr. Fuhrer. And a second? Mr. Crawford. All in favor? All right. Any opposed? No, motion carries. And 20.5, we would like to close the public hearing. Any comments? Funny. No, do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Mr. Oliver Taylor? And a second from Mr. Galicia. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. New business personnel, 21.2, approve updated job description and salary adjustment, transportation secretary. Ashley Vetty to present to the board.
Hello, it is requested that the board approve the updated job description for the transportation secretary, and the district is grateful to OE3 for their collaboration on this and quick turnaround.
Yes. So do we have a motion in place to approve the updated job description and salary adjustment for transportation secretary? Mr. Crawford. And a second? Second from Mr. Steeman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Number 22, new business, business services, 22.1. I'd like to open a public hearing. The governing board of Marysville Joint Unified School District, MJUSD, will hold a public hearing on 2025-26 proposed budget for adoption. And presenting is Ms. Jennifer Pasalia, presented to the board.
Thank you. Good evening, President Criddle, fellow trustees, Superintendent Reeves, Cabinet, and MJUSD community. It's my pleasure tonight to present to you the 2025-26 proposed budget. In this presentation, I'm going to go over the budget cycle, the governor's May revision, and the impact on the state budget has on our budget, general fund revenues, expenditures, multi-year projections, and the road ahead. So this is our budget reporting cycle, and we always work in a 3-year. We look back at 24-25, which you'll see in September. We're proposing 25-26 tonight, and I'll ask that you approve it at the next board meeting. And then in the spring, we'll start working on the 26-27. So we're always working in a 3-year cycle. So when Governor Newsom proposed his May revise, it was in the middle of some significant financial and economic uncertainties. Since January, there's been some elevated tariffs, stringent immigration policies, and reductions in federal workforce that are significantly dampening the financial outlook. Some other themes he addressed he's reducing the Prop 98 2024-25 minimum guarantee from $1.3 billion to $1.3 billion from $1.6 billion. And just as a reminder, the minimum guarantee is the Prop 98 funding. It's about 40% of the state general fund. So that actually decreases what comes to the schools, K-12 and community colleges. The May revise also projects lower revenues and increased costs to healthcare. And he's addressing the budget deficit with a combination of reductions, borrowing, funding shifts, and deferrals. But Prop 98 is largely insulated from the problems with minimal disruption from the January proposal. So not a lot has changed since January. But some risks that the economy and the state budget may look at for the enacted budget are the stock market volatility. Unemployment rate for California is projected to increase. The California's gross domestic product is projected to decrease. And there's anticipated cuts to federal programs that will increase the pressure for backfilling. And also the big 3 sources of state revenue, which are personal income, corporation, and sales tax, are projected to be lowered by $4.8 billion in the next budget. So what does that do for MJUSD? Well, earlier I just said there's not a lot of impact on our school budgets. For the LCFF per ADA funding for us, it's about $14,657 per ADA. Our ADA is projected at $9,496 for the 25-26 year. So that equates to about $139.2 million for our LCFF, which, as a reminder, is our local control funding formula. So here's a look at our revenues that we're projecting for next year with a comparison to where we estimate we're going to end 24-25. The overall difference is about a decrease of 2.6 million. We do show an increase in our LCFF, which is attributed to that increase in ADA I just spoke to, and 2.3% COLA that's projected out from the May revise. Our federal dollars are looking to decrease by about 7 million, and that's due to the COVID relief funds being spent and carryover that's being removed from last year's budget to this year's budget. Our state is looking to increase by 2.4 million, 2.5 million, and those are our ELOP dollars, Proposition 28, lottery, mostly in the restricted side of our general fund. And then our local revenues are decreasing by about 2 million, and that's really from donations and local interagency grants. Oops. Okay, here's a pie chart to show that our 74% of our revenue comes from our local control funding formula. The next piece of the pie for funding is our state funding at 17%. So here is a comparison of this year's estimated actuals to next year's projected expenditures. We're showing a difference of about 23.3 million less. That's mostly attributed to the capital outlay that we spent this year in 24-25 for our big construction projects. And then in our supplies and services, we decrease it by about 10 million, and that's usually from carryover from the prior year, and so we take out those expenditures. And as you can see, about 78% of our expenditures goes to salary and benefits, and then, which makes sense because we're a people business, right? So most of our budget should go to that. And then this is a combination of our combined summary of our combined general fund, and you can see that we are, let's see, I have some little, our ending fund balance for estimated actuals looks like about 59.2 million. And for next year, we're projecting about 45.7 million. We have a deficit, we're projecting a deficit spending of about 14 million. So next, we're going to talk about our multi-year projections. These are required by California state law, and they're prepared for the current year plus the 2 out years. And then we use this for our educational spending plan. It should align with our LCAP. So when we're planning for the current year and the 2 out years, we use different planning factors. We use our COLA, the projected COLA from the May revise, and then what's projected for the 2 out years. We look at our average daily attendance, and we are a growing district. We have our enrollment is projected to increase. So we took that into account with our 2 out years. We look at our lottery revenues, our mandated block grant, and then for our expenditures, we use the STRS and PERS employer rate and unemployment rate and step and column costs. So I've been talking about the ADA and our enrollment growing. Here's a historical chart. It goes back to pre-COVID and then brings us to our projected current numbers. And you can see that we dipped down during the COVID years and we're starting to increase. The light blue line is our enrollment and the darker blue line is our ADA. And you can see that it's starting to climb, which is great. It's about 93%, and each year we're just improving more and more. And then you can see the light blue line that's following it. You can see it heightens in the COVID years. And it's not that our ADA was that much higher, it was that we were grandfathered in for funding. So we use the prior year ADA pre-COVID. So we really were at about an 89% ADA rate, but it didn't impact us with our revenues. So here's a summary of our outlook for 25-26, 26-27, and 27-28. You can see we're projected to continue to deficit spend. It goes down a little bit each year. So deficit spending, so that's basically when our expenditures are exceeding our revenues. And this is just a little example or a definition of what's happening. About 78% goes to salary and benefits. The next highest expenditure is 10% to other services. And in the other services category, it's a lot of contract services that go to our student supports for speech, occupational therapy, other student supports that we aren't able to hire full-time people, so we have to outsource it. We continue to try and hire, but we do have our student needs that need to be met. We also pay money out for our operations, technology, routine maintenance, utilities, insurance, basically to run the district, right? To keep the lights on and our Chromebooks running. So this chart is a historical view of our ending fund balance. You can see that in the prior to COVID, we were about 44 million, I believe it says up there, combined. And if you notice in 1920, our restricted balance, the dark blue line was about 2.2 million, and our unrestricted was at 41.8. If you go all the way forward to 25-26, we're just about back where we were pre-COVID, except for that our restricted dollars have increased and our unrestricted has decreased. So you can see where the pattern of categorical dollars, more restricted funds are coming into the district and we're spending more of our unrestricted. It's just a shift. So I'm recommending to the board that we do a positive certification where the district will be able to meet its financial obligations for the current and subsequent 2 fiscal years. What's coming up next is in July, the state will enact the budget. In August, if there's any major changes, I'll come to you with a 45-day revise. In September, again, we'll come to you with the 24-25 unaudited actuals, and then we'll start planning for 26-27. And then in December, we'll bring you the first interim report for 25-26. So I just want to take this moment to thank Cindy Helms and all of the accounting department and all the other departments that help us put this budget together. Good job, girls. Thanks. Any questions?
I have 2 questions, specifically on slide 9.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the 25-26 projection on supplies, that 49 million is a copy and paste error.
It's an error.
Okay, so that 6 million is correct then, right? The 6 million.
The 6 million is correct.
So what explains that 6 million decrease from? So I'm assuming the budgeted for 25-26 is 11 mil. What explains that 6 million in decrease in?
They're one-time expenditures, so many times in our grants and in lottery site discretionary money, it's not all spent. No, let me reverse that. Carryover from the prior year, we put it back into the budget because it wasn't spent, and then the school sites or grants are spent. We take it out for 25-26 because we wouldn't carry that into the new year.
So that 17.5, 6 million of it was carryover from the 23-24 year, then if I understand your explanation.
Correct, most of it, yes.
And then the other one is capital outlay?
Yes.
If you look at capital outlay, we're now down 15 mil, 15
Yes.
and a half mil. What projects are we delaying in order to meet that?
The track, the finishing of the Lyndhurst track, and then also our foothill projects. We brought some of that, it carried into 24-25. We finished those projects, we used the COVID relief funds, they're gone. In 25-26, we don't have those projects. So that's the decrease in capital outlay.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, but so what is our normal year-to-year capital outlay excluding those large projects then?
About $1 million.
Okay.
Most of our capital outlay would be in equipment, maybe buses, if we have that budgeted in there. We don't have those big construction projects any longer.
Okay.
Or for now. Lyndhurst track was mostly last year's budget, yes. Yeah. You're welcome.
So this is an open public, we'd like to open up the motion to open public hearing, and I need a motion to open that up. Mr. Fuhr? Oh, okay.
So on slide 15, I was just double checking if I understood something correctly. So we're currently at deficit spending at 13 mil. It looks like we're dropping at about 4 mil every year, and if it continues that way, we'll be out of deficit spending around 2030.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So we don't have any salary increases in there.
Mm-hmm.
So each of those are projected with the COLA that's predicted at this point in time. That can change from year to year for those 2 out years.
Thank you.
Any other board questions? Okay, then can I have a motion to open up a public hearing for the public? Motion, Mr. Crawford, and a second? Mr. Galicia. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Comments from the public? If no comments are of the public, do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Motion for Mr. Steeman, and a second. Galicia? We have a motion for Mr. Steeman and a second for Mr. Galicia. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I thank you, everyone, for attending tonight's meeting. Appreciate your patience. Our next regular scheduled meeting would be June 24th, 2025. This meeting is now adjourned.